dignity, his destination, his ambitions, his destiny, all seemed linked to the entanglement. The irony was that the truth, instead of liberating him, had made him rudderless, tossing him around in the violent journey of life. Angraj, Sutaputra, Radhya, Kaunteya are some of the names given to Karna, who was born out of an alliance between Surya and as yet unwed mother, who subsequently married Pandu and gave birth to the Pandavas. Karna was abandoned at birth by his mother, kept aloof by his blood brothers, rejected by Dronacharya, insulted by Draupadi, and manipulated even by the gods. He is a tale of tragic hero whose personal qualities were beyond reproach, and his prowess as an archer was no less than that of Arjun. He remained steadfast in his charity even at the peril to his own life, torn between conflicting emotions, the choice between righteousness and loyalty. He opted to live with the Kauravas and fight alongside them in the battle of Mahabharata. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, presenting the musical ballet on Karna, composed and choreographed by Mrs. Manjula Nair, inspired by the book Karna the Great Warrior by Ranjit Desai. The characters of the story are brought to life by the vibrant team from Sandeep Vihar that spans an age range from 2.5 years to 70 years. Can we have a round of applause for that? Though there is much to be said about Karna, the ballet compacts the story and presents just a few poignant aspects of Karna's life portrayed through 5 acts. Act 1. In the first act, we present the conception, birth and abandonment of Karna by his mother Kunti. The baby is discovered and adopted by a palace charioteer and grows up amongst the Kaurava and Pandava princes. The young princes, who are under the tutelage of Guru Dronacharya, were imparted training in archery, use of the mace, wrestling, and in the use of celestial weapons. In the second act, we'll witness how Dronacharya, through a competition, wishes to showcase the skills acquired by the princes in the chosen fields of mastery. Dronacharya denies Karna the opportunity to participate, calling him a Sutaputra, one of a lower status than the princes. Duryodhana steps in and befriends Karna and elevates him to the status of a prince by crowning him as Angraj, which is celebrated at large by the people of the land and the children. Having been insulted by Dronacharya, Karna sets out to acquire the skills and secrets of the Brahmastra and other higher martial arts. He underwent training with Parshuram in the guise of a Brahmin to seek advanced knowledge and higher battle skills. As his training came to a close, Parshuram discovered that Karna could not have been a Brahmin from the fact that he did not even flinch when a bee's sting drew blood from his thigh, even as Parshuram slept with his head resting in Karna's lap. Only a true Kshatriya could have endured such agony. Having seen through the guise, Parshuram curses Karna that his knowledge of the use of the Brahmastra would fail him when he needed it the most. Thereafter, under various circumstances, a string of curses from Brahman, Mahabhumi, among others, befell Karna and proved to be disastrous for him in the battle. Act 3. The ensuing act portrays a turning point in Karna's life, represented by a period of intense turmoil in the Mahabharata. The Pandavas lose their all in a momentous game due to the loaded dice cleverly crafted by Shakuni. Here I'd like to mention that the significant role played by Shakuni in the events that played out in the lives of both the parties is being portrayed by two characters in this act, acting as mirror images of Shakuni. Coming back to the act, having lost all their material possessions, they put Draupadi at stake and lose her too in the game. In an attempt to humiliate Draupadi in front of the entire gathering, Duryodhan's brother Dushasan attempts to disrobe her. Draupadi's veils are to no avail in front of her paralyzed husbands, and she beseeches the help of Lord Krishna, who protects her modesty by continuously raping her till Dushasan ultimately falls exhausted to the ground.
കൂടെ ആത്മസുഹൃത്തായ കൃഷ്ണൻ വരുമ്പോ അർജുനൻ വിജയനാവും. ഭീഷ്മരും ദ്രോണരും കൃപരും ശല്യരും അടങ്ങുന്ന മഹാരഥന്മാരുടെ കൂട്ടത്തെ അയാൾക്ക് നിസ്സാരമായി ജയിക്കാനാവും. കൂട്ടുകാരനായി കണ്ണനുള്ളത് കൊണ്ടാണ് കുചേലൻ കുബേരനായത്. കൂട്ടുകാരനായി കണ്ണനുള്ളത് കൊണ്ടാണ് ആയിരക്കണക്കിന് ആളുകളുടെ മുമ്പിൽ ദ്രൗപദി ഉപസ്ഥയാകാതിരുന്നത്. പാഞ്ചാലിന്റെ പുത്രിയായതോ ഭീമന്റെ ഭക്തിയായതോ ഭീഷ്മരുടെ സദസ്യരായതുകൊണ്ടോ അല്ല അവൾ വ്യവസ്ഥയാകാതിരുന്നത്. അവൾ കണ്ണന്റെ സുഹൃത്തായിരുന്നു. സൗഹൃദ ഭക്തിയുടെ എണ്ണമറ്റ ഉദാഹരണങ്ങളിൽ ചിലത് മാത്രം. കൃഷ്ണ.
Act 4. Several incidents of mistreatment and insult of the Pandavas at the hands of the Kauravas over the next 36 years precipitate the animosity that grows between the two sides and draws them inexorably into the great battle of Mahabharata. In the interim, several people, including Krishna, try in vain to broker peace between the two parties. The Pandavas, being aware that Karna is one of the mainstays of the Kaurava army, seek ways and means to weaken and disarm him. They knew that Karna would be invincible due to the gift of the kavach, that is the body armor, and the kundal, the earrings, that had been gifted to him at birth by his father, the sun god Surya. Indradev, disguised as a Brahmin, approaches Karna and seeks his kavach and kundal as gifts. Danveer Karna, known never to refuse a request for alms, gives away his protective gear, well aware that the gods were conspiring against him. In return, Indra gives Karna a single-use potent weapon called Vasavi, which Karna keeps reserved for use against Arjuna. Act 5, the final act. As both factions of Kauravas and Pandavas are preparing themselves for the battle, Guru Krupacharya tries to mediate between the two groups in an effort to prevent the outbreak of war that would result in countless casualties and boundless grief. However, neither party yields and the battle of Mahabharata ensues. The progress of battle is being portrayed in three scenes. In the first part, Abhimanyu, son of Arjun, is surrounded in the Chakravyuh and is killed by fatal strikes by 7 warriors, with Karna being the very first to strike him. The second scene depicts how, in a manifestation of the curse of Mahabhumi, Karna's chariot gets stuck in the mud and is killed by Arjun under directions from Krishna. The composer has chosen to end the ballet not with the vilification of Karna, but instead by portraying how both sides to the battle set aside the differences and choose instead to glorify the charisma of the great warrior Karna. characters in the cast. Krishna's flag bearer, played by Rudra. Krishna in the game of dice, Rachel Jacob. Kunti and also Karna's son Chitrasena, Mini Rao. Karna's young friends and warriors, Akshima and Hina. Cherry and Paru. Shreyas and Yash. Satvik and Mahika. Ishika and Advika. Anika and Adhya. Set of gurus, Parshuram played by Manjula Venugopal, Durvasa and also as Sahadev, Indu Nandakumar, Dronacharya, Sujata Mohan, Bhishma, Sujata Nair, Kripacharya, Sudha Babu, the Pandavas, Yudhishthir and also Karna's foster father Adirath, Geeta Nair, Bhim as well as Abhimanyu, Sujata Gupta, Nakul, Ishita Sujit, Draupadi, Dayarani Suresh, Krishna in battle, Suja Suresh, Indra, Rajni Poti, Karna's flag bearer, Harsh, Shakuna in mirror images, Farida Bashir and Malini Mohan, Duryodhana, Sintu Dinesh, Dushasan, Surupa Harinath, Gandhari, Ajita Krishnan, Dhritarashtra, Kamala Das, Karna's wife Vrishali Snehalata Venkat, baby Karna's foster mother Radhe Sushmita John, and baby Karna Israel Jose, Ashwatthama as well as Angaraj Karna, Aradhya Vashishta. Karna as Pashuram's disciple and also Arjun, Nisha Anish. Karna in battle, Mrs. Manjula Nair, who's the backbone of this whole play. A big hand for her. Narration in Malayalam was done by Vasudev Vampoti. Narration in